to special teams. It's going to come down to an extra point, or it's going to come down to a field goal. And I think that's what it's going to be. This is going to be one of those, 27-24, 34-31 type of a Super Bowl. That's my
well, let me give you a little bit of info here, right? So I'm doing a little looking, and I want to share a couple things. The Chiefs were 7-1 at home and 7-2 on the road. The Eagles were 7-2 at home and 7-1 on the road.
Jeez.
So we're talking about just the incredible tight matchups, and they're both winning no matter where.
Yeah.
The Chiefs as a team scored 496 points as an offense. The Eagles scored 477. So a 19-point difference
over
there?
17 games, not even up, a little over a point a game, right?
Yeah, 1.5 a game, something like that. The Chiefs led up 369 points, and the Eagles led up 344 points.
Dang.
So 25 points or so difference there.
A little over a point and a half a game.
Yeah. And so now the difference comes in, right? So again, we're in really tight range between the offense, the defense, how many points, who's scoring what, and everything else. And then you look at it and you go, okay, but the Chiefs, if you look at their schedule and you go back and you think who they were playing against, let's face it, right? They're playing against some tough teams. And they played the Chargers in week 2. I'll leave out teams like the Colts and the Cardinals, right? So it's like the Chargers, the Bucks, Raiders, Bills, Niners, Titans, Jaguars, the Bengals. They played some high scoring teams, the Seattle Seahawks. So they had some challenges, in terms of the offenses they were playing against. So it wasn't like they didn't play. And, we talked last week about, you got to look at who they played, right? And we're picking young quarterbacks as well, right? And talking about, well, does Justin Fields have an advantage because he's in the NFC and he doesn't have the same difficulty of teams to manage to get through to make it to a Super Bowl. The same could kind of be said for the Eagles versus the Chiefs. There are certainly some tough teams in the NFC, but let's face it, they got incredibly lucky last week against the Niners with those injuries to Brock Purdy and every other quarterback. You're playing against a fourth-string quarterback in Josh Johnson. The Eagles should be in the Super Bowl.
Sure.
But, I don't know that they would have been there had it not been for those issues.
That's true. But then you look at, it's tough because then you're like, all right, well, is it the resolve, as Tim said, the intangibles of the Chiefs, right? They should have lost that game against the Bengals. They had no business winning that game against the Bengals. They had every single starting receiver out. Mahomes is thrown to 10 different people. So they had no business being there either. They really should have lost that game. I don't know that push out of bounds was that questionable, but in a tight situation like that, that's a tough call to make, right? It wasn't like egregious where, he's, tackling him. He just got, it's kind of like a push, but, even still, the guy could have probably made the field goal. So it's, there was still at that point 8 seconds left. So there's still a chance. No one really talks about that. At that point, you do a 10-yard out to Kelsey or something, get down, timeout, and then you still are within that range. I think there's every possibility
Butker. They would have won.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, though, on the comments on the live stream here, we have someone who's watching us right now who said a couple stats that we haven't brought up yet, which were that both teams scored a total of 586 points as a team up to this point. Both teams, of course, won the same number of games. Both teams have lost the same number of games. And technically, of course, both teams have a Kelsey.
True.
One a little bit more involved than the other. And he's going for the Chiefs. He says it's an easy Chiefs win. He's predicting. He says it's easier than we think.
Wow.
He believes it's easier than we think. It's a Chiefs win. No questions asked.